Real-World JavaScript: Pro-Level Techniques for Entry-Level Developers by Nick Ruffalo. A little bit about myself. I've been a software developer for almost 20 years now. I have experience with both startups and large businesses, and I have taught software development to a range of ages for the last 15 years. A little bit about the course. What we're going to learn. In section 1, we're going to talk about the bigger picture of what is JavaScript, and we're going to talk about the core JavaScript concepts. So this is where we're going to learn the basics of the JavaScript language, how it works, and how to do things. In section 2, we're going to talk about objects and JSON, which is JavaScript object notation, which is a useful way of both storing data as well as reading data, and how JavaScript objects are also notated. In section 3, we're going to talk about Jquery and Bootstrap, which are both very popular HTML, CSS, and JavaScript frameworks. While Jquery is just JavaScript, Bootstrap is all of that. And we're going to talk about other JavaScript frameworks and how those play into the development cycle. In section 4, we're going to talk about using Jquery plugins, which is pre-written code from other people, and how we can import that into our content and our code and utilize that functionality. In section 5, we're going to implement with popular services, also known as APIs. So between Google, Facebook, Twitter, Google Maps, you're going to learn to integrate and use the data from those services and the functionality from those services from within your application. And in section 6, we're going to put it all together. We're going to take everything that was learned in section 1 through 5, and we're going to create an app that utilizes all of that and create something useful. Before we dive in, I want to talk about the philosophy of learning software development. I have gone through lots of different types of education when it comes to software development, and most of it was not directly through school. I did not major in software development and software engineering. I actually have a business background, but I have learned several software development languages through my career. I've had to professionally program in a handful of them, maybe 6 or 7. And whenever I have to learn a new skill, and whenever I do that, I ask myself, how am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And how can I do it better? And I want to share that learning with you to make this easier. So learning a new programming language for either the first programming language or your second, third, fourth, it's like learning to speak a language. You have to practice it, you have to do it, and you can't just take some flashcards. Memorization is not the way to do it. You have to immerse yourself. You want to learn to speak French, watch French television. You'll just kind of pick it up. It'll make sense. And what that means is if you want to learn to write JavaScript and all you're doing is watching a video and you're not actually typing and writing the JavaScript, and you're not reading other people's code that's written in JavaScript, it's going to take much, much longer. The second is practice, practice, practice. As with learning a language, learning an instrument, learning any new skill, you have to practice it over and over. Just create little things. Give yourself a little task. All right, today I'm going to make a calculator. So that's it. Just something simple that just adds numbers. Okay, fine. It's just going to add. Tomorrow I'll add subtraction. I'll add division. And then, hey, you want to get complicated? Make a graphing calculator. But things. Give yourself a little task. Do small things. Don't take on anything too large. When you're learning how to play an instrument, you don't start with the most complex piece. You start with Mary Had a Little Lamb. Next point, frustration is normal. You will be frustrated. Software development is frustrating. Error codes are not always useful. Error codes might just give you a line number. Be like, hey, something's wrong on line 37. And even then, it might be line 37 on someone else's code because their code and their plugin expected a parameter to be a certain way, but it's a different way. And it can be tough. A lot of times it's tough when you expect something to do one thing and it does something different. And that's normal. That happens to me. That happens to every developer I know, no matter how good you are. The first time you run your code, you don't expect it to work. And that's okay. It's okay to be frustrated, and it's okay to hit snags, and it's okay if things don't work on the first try. That's completely okay. The last point is reach out and ask for help. Find a buddy. Find somebody else who's learning this task or someone else who knows it really well, and reach out and ask questions. Spending an hour trying to figure something out yourself and getting frustrated, I mean, if you like doing that, go for it. But you don't have to. The web has solved these problems. People on the web have solved these problems. And you don't need to bang your head on your keyboard to solve a problem such as like email validation. Email validation is a problem lots of people have and lots of people have solved. So just search, how do you validate an email? You'll get 100 different examples, all of them different. Pick the ones you want, learn about it, and say, okay, well, here's the plus and the pros and cons of these. And then all of a sudden you'll go, you know what, this is the one I want to land on. And spending an hour doing research and learning about that is going to teach you so much more than you trying to figure out, okay, well, what's the right regular expression? What's the right way to do it? That's just not worth it. And below is my email address, nickruffalo@gmail.com. If you need, I can be that resource. Just reach out to me. Let me know you're taking this course. Let me know that you want some help. My time is limited, but I'll do my best to point you in the right direction.